Despite a rocky start from Eduardo Rodriguez, the Snakes somehow find a way to get the job done with Jordan Lawlar's big walk-off hit in the 9th inning, leading the way to a 6-5 victory for the Arizona Diamondbacks. We're talking about it with our guy, Jesse Friedman, in 30 seconds. Don't you go anywhere. Cactus Light is on. To another edition of the PHNX Dbacks podcast, live from Studio K in beautiful downtown Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Derek Montia, occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX. We got lights coming on everywhere. We got people walking in our suite. That's probably not great, but we are thrilled to be celebrating another Diamondbacks victory, this time by a score of 6-5. Welcome in. Come on in here, guys. Glad to have you here. She's really putting on a whole light show for us, isn't she, Damon? Well, this show, of course, is brought to you by our friends at Bet365 and Game Time. There we go. We're back in business. Great to have you guys here. This show, like I said, is brought to you by our friends at Bet365 and Game Time. Make sure to download the Bet365 app and use our code of PHNX365 when you sign up. You'll get yourself some bonus bets over there where it's never ordinary. And over at Game Time, of course, you'll save on some last-minute tickets by using our code of PHNX. You'll get $20 off on top of those savings that Game Time will hook you up with. What a huge win for the Arizona Diamondbacks, beating the San Francisco Giants by a score of 6-5 tonight. They improve to 77-75 on the season. Let's get some cactus lights in the chat. Everybody get going. Coach Stark Holmes asks, can this actually happen? Yes, Coach Stark. Believe it or not, it can actually happen. We still need some help from the Mets, and they beat up on the Padres tonight, and that wasn't great. But, of course, we are thrilled to have you guys here, thrilled to have my guy Damon Dog on the ones and twos, and, of course, always thrilled to have our guy Jesse Friedman from Snakes Territory joining us to chat about a Diamondbacks win. Jesse, we've cracked the code, we figured out the exact way to have you on the show again. We just can't advertise you. As long as we let nobody know that you're going to come on the show before we win, then this seems to go well. But I feel like if something happens where they don't win, then we have to scrap your appearance on the show or something. I don't know. We haven't figured that part out yet. But luckily, you've been bringing us some good luck as long as we don't advertise you.
Yeah, I've taken a lot of heat on this show, Derek, for like giving people hope at times when maybe they didn't want to feel hope anymore. They just wanted a good smattering of reality. And somehow here we are, where the reality is there is some hope for this Diamondbacks team, Derek. I'm not going to say their chances are great, but their chances are absolutely there after a huge win tonight over the Giants.
Well, your partnership, our partnership together has always been about my drama, my overreactionary nature, and your logic, right? But in this case, it was one of the few times where it came together because I just wanted to believe, because it's fun, and there's no reason to watch sports if you don't believe in your team trying to turn things around and get the job done, even as long as they're not mathematically eliminated, which is where you come in. Because again, as long as they are not mathematically eliminated, Jesse will logically say there is a chance because there's a chance. This is the reason why that chance existed. Even if that chance at some point dwindled down below 1%, it still was a chance that was open. They are still not there yet. But a game like tonight, a win like tonight, makes you feel like this team is definitely heading in the right direction. And it makes you feel like, at least with the mountain of calamities that they've experienced this year, that things are kind of starting to go their way a little bit.
I mean, it's just an absolutely massive win. Obviously, it seals the deal as far as the head-to-head with the San Francisco Giants. The Diamondbacks have that tiebreaker nailed down. And then, I mean, beyond that, it makes it so the Dbacks are now a game and a half ahead of both the Reds and the Giants. The only team in front of them is the team that they're chasing in the New York Mets. So I'm not going to say it's just a Mets versus D-backs competition at this point, but this game was a huge push in that direction where the Reds and the Giants are both in a really precarious position now.
Yeah, and the Diamondbacks have won 5 straight home games against the National League West since August 8th, and in general have just been playing some very good baseball. The story of tonight's game, though, was that Eduardo Rodriguez was not very good. He was not the stellar pitcher that we saw in his last 3 outings. He came up and got roughed up right away in the first inning. He gave up a lot of hits, a lot of hard contact there in the first inning. But he got things back on track, as did this team, who did not allow the 4-run deficit to stop them. In fact, it didn't take them very long to score 3 runs of their own in this game and get things going. And that started in the second inning with Gabriel Moreno. And can't say enough about Moreno. It feels like Moreno really stepped up in the absence of Ketel, Marte, and Corbin Carroll over this stretch for this team. And also Blaze Alexander. And those guys are who combined for that first run. Moreno would score on a Blaze Alexander RBI single. And then you have ADC, man, who still just happens to not be consistent, not really know where he's going to play, not know what he's really going to do at any times. But for some reason, he's just the guy that gets the big hits. And this was a huge home run going yard there to make it a 4-3 game. It was a 2-run home run, 380 feet to right field, 102.4 mile per hour exit velo. And the Diamondbacks were in business, and the offense kept rolling. There were plenty of squandered opportunities, though. And honestly, this probably didn't even need to go into the bottom of the 9th inning like it did with the way that those missed opportunities went in both the 7th and the 8th inning for this team. So still a lot of things to clean up. As Torey said, some defensive mistakes, missing the cutoff man there by Corbin Carroll on a crucial play that allowed another run to score. But overall, this team just did not quit tonight, Jesse. They showed an amazing amount of resilience, and especially offensively, it felt like, even though it took a while for them to get there, like they were really putting a lot of nice opportunities together that they just couldn't capitalize on.
There were several big hits in this game for the Diamondbacks, obviously, but I think the biggest one was probably what you were just talking about with Adrian Del Castillo. I mean, just so quickly, the Diamondbacks managing to not just get on the board, but actually, turn a 4-run game into a 1-run game, just, in what felt like a split second in the bottom of that second inning. It just made the game feel so much more winnable. You go down 4 runs in the first inning, and with Eduardo Rodriguez out there and his track record as a member of this team, you're kind of wondering if you're going to have a shot, or if you're going to have to score 8 or 9 runs, something like that, in order to win the game. But the offense was able to bounce back, and to Eduardo's credit, I mean, he at least finished the day pretty well. He was able to settle down. He retired 6 of the last 7 hitters. He was at least able to give the D-backs 5 innings. And then the bullpen, we don't give the bullpen many shout outs talking about this baseball team, Derek, but the bullpen deserves a big shout out with 4, not just scoreless innings in this game, but 4 hitless innings in back of Eduardo Rodriguez.
More importantly, Jesse, they had 12 outs where, if I'm not mistaken, they didn't allow a base runner. Am I right about that? Like, not one base runner, or did they hit a guy? Because I didn't see any walks. I didn't see any, like, they didn't. I mean,
yeah,
basically after Eduardo Rodriguez.
In there, right?
What's that?
I want to say there's a hit by pitch in there by someone. I'm forgetting by who. No, you're right. You're right. It's 12 up. It's 12 up, 12 down.
It's crazy. Yeah. And again, these guys doing it. John Curtis doing it. Brandon Garcia, Ryan Thompson, and Andrew Saalfrank. Like, at least the old veteran of the bullpen, Ryan Thompson, is one of the arms out there, a part of it, Jesse. But again, it's just it's this hodgepodge of guys that have taken the opportunities given to them and have really tried to deliver. I will make a comparison that maybe a lot of people can relate to, because it's fantasy football time of the year, Jesse. And the I guess comparison I can make is, sometimes when you go out there, you get a top draft pick, or you get a number 1 pick or something in fantasy football, you don't want to move on from that guy. You don't want to move on from any of those top 3-4 round draft picks, no matter how bad they are the whole season. You could have a top running back that you got in the first round in fantasy football, and you will drag that guy till the end of the season because he was your number 1 pick. You're not cutting him. You're not moving on from him, right? The Diamondbacks are in a situation where a lot of those guys that they would have never moved on from otherwise were not necessarily performing and performing consistently. They also, I don't feel like, had this same level of belief that they could come back. You just saw the team this year early on in the season having a lot of these games, getting behind early and not even putting up a fight, for the whole game, right? So sometimes based on situations, injuries, the trades that happened, everything that happened, you have to scramble at the waiver wire as a fantasy owner to pick up new players that can hopefully get you a win and keep you away from the Waffle House. Well, in this situation, Jesse, the Diamondbacks had to scramble just to put together a baseball team. And they sifted through guys. Some guys didn't work out. Some guys did. Some guys did for a period of time. Anthony DeSclafani, who was just recently DFA'd, is a perfect example of that. Yet somehow, through all of this, they found the Nabil Krismats, the James McCanns, the John Curtises of the baseball world, essentially, that have helped them get to this point where, yeah, the deal is not done. Yes, they don't have a playoff spot yet, but I mean, by God, they're competitive and they're out here as the team that is just behind the one team with a spot. And I give a lot of credit to especially the island of misfit toys known as the bullpen for what they've been able to pull together here lately.
I remember writing a story in 2023, Derek, about the Diamondbacks, that team that went on that deep run, about the bullpen and sort of viewing that year's bullpen as being kind of a similar story where it was a hodgepodge of guys from different places. Ryan Thompson was a late season addition that year. Kevin Ginkel had some ups and downs in his career. Obviously, Paul Sewald was a pretty well-established closer, but just a few years prior, his career looked like it was maybe coming to an end. And then there were other contributors like Andrew Saalfrank and Joe Mantiply and whatnot who kind of burst on the scene. But that bullpen has nothing on this one, Derek, when it comes to a hodgepodge of guys from various places. You think about Jalen Beeks, who's one of the few guys who's actually spent a good portion of the season on the roster. Ryan Thompson, I guess, being the other one. Those are really the only two at this point. I guess John Curtis has been here for a while at this point. But yeah, I mean, you've got Brandon Garcia coming in and facing Rafael Devers in the 7th-inning of a tie game that has playoff implications. And Brandon Garcia was pitching for the Mariners AAA team like a couple months ago. And then he gets traded. And obviously some of the names you mentioned, Taylor Rashi, Kyle Backus, of course, coming up and contributing. So bullpens are kind of weird, Derek, where you don't have to have a bunch of flashy names back there. I mean, sometimes you can just have the right group of guys get hot. And even if there's not a whole lot of swing and miss, even if it doesn't look all that flashy, it can work for a while. And I'm not saying that, just because the bullpen had one great game that we're going to completely forget about all the bullpen woes that we've had this year.
Absolutely.
But there's maybe a path here where you feel like there's kind of a circle of trust that is sort of developing potentially. We'll see what it looks like here over the next 2 weeks.
I think our Diamondbacks insider or outsider, I think is what his name was there. But he said Dbacks circle of trust is Curtis, Garcia, Thompson, and Saalfrank. Wow, love it. And I mean, there could be another couple of other names in there too, but you can tell Brandon Garcia has been proving himself. He's been doing a good job. He's a young guy that they're still being careful with, but it doesn't mean that they're not putting him into high leverage situations. And again, he's really coming around. I mean, his first little stint with this team, he looked good, but didn't have, necessarily that exact perfect success. And nothing's going to be perfect for these young guys. It's all about experience. We talked today to Torey. I spoke to him about James McCann, who Torey revealed before the game, Jesse, that it's because of Corbin Burns that the Diamondbacks added James McCann, right? And that's crazy to me that Corbin Burns is still helping this team out, even though he can't get out there on the mound. He's like, hey, call this dude. I used to play with him. He's pretty awesome. And tonight I watched James McCann sit there in the dugout, Jesse, and throwing, sunflower seeds at Blaze Alexander and Jordan Lawlar as being one of the veteran guys in the dugout, right? That's what you call a glue guy. That's what you call a guy that brings something beyond just what he does out there on the field to this team. And I mean, again, some of these guys might have felt like their time in baseball was done. Some of them might have felt like they weren't going to get another opportunity like this at a major league level. And that includes McCann, includes Nabil Krismat, and includes some of these guys in the bullpen. But another guy that got the job done tonight for the Diamondbacks, Jesse, was Jordan Lawlar, who delivered the walk-off hit in the 9th inning. And he is a guy that a lot of fans were ready to write off as a failure for this organization, for a failure as a draft pick, and just in general, a guy that was always going to be deemed a 4A player, not a major league player. I quite frankly saw a lot in Jordan even when he was struggling, but it was a frustrating process to watch his at-bats at a major league level and see him not really be able to, hit breaking stuff and other pitches that he needs to hit in order to be a big league hitter. Suddenly, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, feels like all of that is in the past. And now we're seeing Jordan Lawlar, even though it wasn't the, walk-off home run any player would like to hit. It's a 50-footer, but still that 50-footer got the job done tonight for the Diamondbacks.
Did that go 50 feet? I don't know.
I'm probably giving him way too much credit.
Yeah, it might have been like 37. I'm not sure. No, I guess it probably went about 50 feet. But yeah, Jordan Lawlar has really turned things around offensively. I know his numbers for the season still look terrible, and frankly, that's not going to change much because there's only there's less than 2 weeks left in the season at this point. It's just
same with the bullpen, right? Like it's like I'm sorry. Unfortunately, the body of work at this point is never going to look good for the 2025 season. But we need to not care about that, and that includes with Jordan Lawlar. We need to worry about the here and now, because here and now is what is important, and what's important is completing the sweep tomorrow against the Giants, and then these last 3 series you have to end the season to give yourself a chance at some sort of crazy postseason run that none of us really saw coming.
Lawlar's numbers in September, he is now 9 for 29, hitting .310 with a .344 on base percentage and a .517 slugging percentage. And it's not cheap power. I know he hasn't hit a home run yet, but a lot of these extra base hits are really hit hard, stung to the gap. There was one the other day that bounced off the left field fence. So I really like what I'm seeing from Lawlar offensively. I know they're kind of protecting him against righties. Like a lot of this is happening against lefties. And I imagine that's the approach they'll continue to take with him. Defensively, there have been some issues recently as well, but offensively, he looks like a totally different player. And I wondered if that would be the case at some point, that he was just in a mental funk, that we weren't really seeing his true skills play out. And once he got that first hit of the season, he's just looked like a totally different guy up there.
A lot of guys had multi-hit nights tonight, Jesse, but it was just really good to see Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll both contributing in the same game. And honestly, just seeing Ketel Marte look a lot more comfortable out there than he has. Not only has he struggled at the plate in general, but the injury to his foot definitely didn't help. Torey said before the game that he was kind of having some trouble with like right-handed pitching, putting his weight down on certain parts of that foot due to that contusion. But tonight, he delivered 2 for 5 with 1 RBI. Corbin Carroll 3 for 5 with a run scored and an RBI. And then again, just hits all over the board. Moreno 1 for 4. You got Del Castillo 1 for 2 with 2 RBIs tonight. You had Jordan Lawlar, the big pinch hit, 1 for 2, 1 RBI, 1 walk for Lawlar. Alec Thomas 2 for 3, still singles. Would love to see some power, some extra base hits out of Alec Thomas. It feels like we're seeing a lot of that, but I don't care. I will take, out of those 6 through 9 hitters, I will just take base runners. I want good at bats. They were complaining last night after the win about Ketel Marte seeing 7 pitches in 5 at bats last night. And they were saying Domo saw more than 7 pitches in just 2 of his at-bats last night, right? So, like, you just want to see better at-bats, and you want to see those from guys like Ketel, guys like Corbin, who, like, they're leaders based on how good they are at baseball. They're not necessarily the clubhouse leaders like Geraldo Perdomo is, but still, guys that you really feel lead the way by example, and this team really goes in the direction that those guys go typically. Just lately, it's been these other role players helping them win games in their absence.
The Dbacks really need Ketel Marte to get going. I mean, if they're really going to do this, Ketel getting back to himself would be just a huge part of that for them. He did have 2 hits in the game. One of them was, I think, 89 miles an hour off the bat, kind of a slow roller that got through. But he did have a hustle double as well that looked like a much more typical Ketel swing. I think it was about 105 miles per hour off the bat. It was a leadoff double in the 7th inning Did he come around to score later in the inning? No, he did not. The D-backs had their issues with runners in scoring position at times, some situational hitting problems. But yeah, that was a big swing for Ketel. And I do wonder if the injury you talked about earlier is playing a role here. It seems like it very likely is. But whatever it takes, I mean, it's going to be hard for the Diamondbacks to actually pull this thing off if they're not getting star level production from Ketel.
You're right, but you can't say enough about what some of these other guys have done. And there were some bad moments in this game too, right? Jorge Barosa probably should be sent back down to Reno. And I think that there are a lot of fans that were very frustrated with his at-bats. And it wasn't just Barosa. There were several guys who did not come through when the Diamondbacks had the go-ahead run 90 feet away from scoring with no outs, and they somehow could not generate a fly ball or something to bring those runs in late in the game, 7th inning, 8th inning, even in the 9th inning. You had the feeling that they were going to do it once again there when they had bases loaded. You didn't have confidence that Jordan Lawlar was necessarily going to get the job done. And I could just, in my head, I envisioned him hitting into a double play that involved one of the outs being made at home plate with the bases loaded. But that's not what happened. And luckily there in the bottom of the 9th, they finally broke through. But just a lot of frustrating moments in this game. Torey said after the game that this was an exhausting game to manage because there were just a lot of moments of him managing, using a lot of small ball tactics. 4 bunts in a game were the most in franchise history. At least that's
wild.
Yeah, like again, there's just a lot of that, a lot of runs being generated, and look at what it led to. It led to a win in a game where the Diamondbacks were down 4-0 before they even picked up a baseball bat in the game. So I mean, again, it worked, and it might have been exhausting, it might have been a lot, but you know that this is kind of this team's identity, and it's weird for them to be figuring that out now. I feel like we all knew that this was this team's identity for the last 2 years. And coming into this season, we knew it was this team's identity. And then they were just like, we want to mash home runs to win games. And we were like, who are you? And what have you done with the Diamondbacks that we know? Right? Jordan Lawlar tonight called them the never say Dbacks or never say Diamondbacks. And again, it's fun to see them in the clubhouse having that attitude that this team doesn't want to give up. They don't want to surrender. And they kind of want to be this upset underdog that somehow finds their way in the postseason when all is said and done.
I'm sorry, Derek. I think I have to push back just a little bit on the small ball thing. Like, did the D-backs score any of their runs tonight because they bunted? I think they just gave away 4 outs.
Oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine. No, that's fair.
The Blaze
but I mean, still,
worked,
the attempt though, right? Like it's the stolen bases a few nights ago. I'm just saying more overall that this team is just trying to do more to manufacture runs and understand the importance of those manufactured runs. And it just leaves, I think, a lot of fans, and me included, sitting here scratching my head going like, yeah, why haven't you been trying that this whole time? Why is this something that they're just suddenly doing? Maybe a part of it is some coaching changes. Maybe a part of it is the personnel, and they feel like these younger guys are just better at doing this kind of, small ball run manufacturing, whatever. But I mean, it's encouraging to see, even though they didn't execute it well tonight, but you just feel like this is a path to success for this team.
Yeah, I mean, the bunts were, I think, successful across the board, right? I mean, everybody was able to get their sack bunt down. The one that really stuck out to me when I'm speaking negatively about this is the Vargas one.
Yes.
That one I just didn't get. Because as you discussed earlier, I mean, Jorge Barosa is genuinely one of the nicest people I met while covering this team. Like, nothing but good things to say about Jorge Barosa, the person. But I mean, I think we're kind of all on the same page that the at-bats have not looked great there. And that was a lot of pressure to put on him. Like, you've got Alec Thomas at second base with nobody out. You're going to give away an out with Ildemaro Vargas to put Barosa in a situation where you really need him to hit the ball out of the infield. Otherwise, at that point, you're hoping for someone to get a base hit. That would be your only way of scoring a run there. So, because the D-backs won, I mean, none of this really matters at the end of the day. But I thought Torey went a little bit too far with the small ball in this game. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks that, though.
No, you're not. You're not. And I think that especially like with the way Vargy's been swinging the bat, he is not a guy that I would have done that with myself either, right? But I guess there was a confidence level there that if they could figure out a way to get that one run across and take a lead, that this bullpen would be able to handle it. I'm sure most of us are like, no, you're going to need all the runs you can get. We did not foresee this bullpen coming out there and sitting down 12 batters, after Eduardo Rodriguez leaves the game. And they needed that. They needed the bullpen to come in, considering that Erod had put them in the hole that he had put them in, that they really didn't have much room for error there to let more runs score and make the comeback attempt even more difficult. So credit where credit is due. We are definitely giving the king snake tonight to the bullpen, the entire bullpen. They all get it. All of them, 12 up, 12 down. Look at how happy these boys are. And there's John Curtis, always there, always lurking. He's always in the middle.
He loves the spotlight.
He loves the spot. You can't get John Curtis to shut up once you start interviewing. This guy just will talk your ear off.
Derek, you said we're going to make the bullpen king snake tonight, and John Curtis immediately popped up on the graphic. I didn't even have to put it on the graphic. He was already there.
Yeah. Oh, and then good old Ryan Thompson there gave me a tongue and thumb to the throat pregame in case anybody was curious about my well-being or worried about me. But we did hear more from Lawlar after the game, Jesse. Here is what Jordan Lawlar had to say about his big walk-off in this game.
Yeah, so I knew I had Walker there. Actually came and hit off the trajectory just a little bit, just to see what his pitches look like. Sinker-sided guy. And then got behind in the count and just backed the ball up. And I just wanted to put the ball in play. That's really all I was trying to do, just put the ball in play. And I saw the slider come a little out front, and I just tried to put the bat on the ball, and that's what happened. And just ran as fast as I could.
Jordan Lawlar is quickly becoming one of my favorite people to interview after a game, Jesse, because not only does he kind of have that boyish smirk on the entire time, but you can just really tell that he is loving this. He is loving not only being a part of this roster with guys like Blaze Alexander and Corbin Carroll that he came up with, and Perdomo, but I don't know if him and Perdomo were together, but still they played together a lot. I mean, they were talking after the game about how long they've been on teams together, and they brought up the Hillsborough Hops and all these other, minor league teams within the Diamondbacks organization. So you really do get the sense that part of the good vibes in the clubhouse are these guys being very appreciative of this opportunity and appreciative that like they're succeeding. Blaze and Jordan especially are both thriving kind of right now, and you feel pretty good about their futures.
Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, it's still really early for Jordan Lawlar. The lows were obviously really low, but like I said earlier, the way that he's looked over the past few weeks, it's been a totally, totally different hitter. He's making hard contact. He's not just, he's not 9 for 29 with 9 singles. He's really starting to drive the ball. Absolutely. And just watching the celebration at the end, Derek, there was just something cool about it. Like, I know it's weird that the Dbacks are in this spot and Eugenio Suarez isn't on the team anymore and Josh Naylor is not on the team. Merrill Kelly isn't on the team. Like, they could probably use Merrill Kelly right now, but it has opened the door for a lot of young guys to step up. Some fun stories like Nabil Krismat. And so, seeing Jordan Lawlar be the hero in a game like this that really mattered in September, it's not exactly the way we drew it up back in April, but it's pretty fun to watch.
It's a blast to watch. And Jordan discussed that celebration after the game. Here's what he had to say about the shaving cream and everything else that he got dunked in tonight.
You probably dreamed that your first walk-off would go more than 50 feet, but it doesn't really matter either way.
A win for the team is a win for the team. It doesn't matter how it happens,
What's the moment after you kind of round first base and everyone's coming for you there?
I mean, it's just like you black out. I saw Blaze at second. I saw the whole team coming. I was just looking for guys, and then Blaze gave me the point to kind of get me back in the moment, and then I jumped up with him, and we just had fun. We had a good time. I got some gum at me. I got a gum hat.
I need to see the gum hat. I need to see the gum hat. I don't know if it's a hat made out of gum, if it's a hat made out of gum wrappers. I don't know if it's a hat held together with gum, Jesse. I have so many questions about the gum hat, but we're going to take a real quick break.
Right?
It's a bucket, but yeah, it's just a bucket. I know, but still, like I wanted to let my imagination run wild, and here you are ruining it with reality once again. Your logic always brings me down, Jesse. Your logic always brings me down. But we're going to take a quick break, and on the other side of this break, we have a ton more from the clubhouse and a ton more to discuss about Erod's outing tonight. Don't you guys go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, if you are looking to have your brand stand apart from the crowd, look no further than Branded Bills. They make not only some of the best hats I've ever put on my head, but they can make some outstanding gear for your brand that help your brand stand apart from the crowd. They make hats for U of A, ASU, Phoenix Suns. So if you're a hat aficionado like me, you can just go to their website at brandedbills.com and shop the way I love to shop. Probably have way too many hats, and that's still not going to stop me from buying more. However, of course, if you need some custom apparel, their dedicated team will help you create the exact order you need, whether it's snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, tees, bags, it doesn't matter. Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style, and they have some amazing logo work. Again, their logo work is some of the best in the business. They're a local company from right here in Mesa, Arizona, so it always feels good to shop local. And you can head to brandedbills.com and use code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. So go check them out right now. And also, speaking of saving some money, you can do so over at Game Time to see wonderful baseball games like this game we had tonight. The Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps and saving up to 60% off last minute. It's incredibly easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means you can trust that you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, your fees are always included, so there's no surprises at checkout. They also offer you the Game Time ticket coverage guarantee, where your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So do not miss out on their aesthetically pleasing app and their cheap last-minute tickets. Go check them out right now. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms do apply. Create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Tap, ticket, and go. Download the Game Time app today. Damon, what time is it?
Game time, Derek.
It's actually 10:56. No, you're right. It is game time. I'm
it's
wrong.
Always it's game time on the PHNX Dbacks podcast.
All right. Well, great again to see this big win. Not a great way it started. Jesse, Eduardo Rodriguez was just awful in the first inning, and it looked like it was going to be a disaster. He gave up hard contact to the first two batters on a 92-mile-per-hour fastball right down the zone and a 91-mile-per-hour fastball right down the zone. It really did. It felt by 6:43 p.m., Jesse, that the Snakes were doomed, and we weren't even a run hadn't scored yet. And I was like, oh, we're doomed. And that feeling only got worse by sitting next to Jack Summers, because he was saying they were doomed before the first pitch. But those both runs would make it a 2-0 game, and then they would add another 2 runs in the inning. It was a 26 pitch first inning for Erod, and just not good. But he locked in after that, and you got to give him some credit, because from that point on, he only allowed 1 earned run and I think 3 hits for the rest of the game. Even though the hole was pretty deep at that point, he still did a good job of not allowing things to get too out of control. And also, he gave the Diamondbacks a longer performance than that last time he got himself into trouble and was only able to go 2 2/3 innings. So at least was able to make it 5, but did put a lot of pressure on the bullpen tonight.
I mean, if we're really going to have what would the Diamondbacks in the playoffs really look like? I mean, coming up with a viable 4-man rotation is not, it doesn't look great on paper, right?
Put some respect on Nabil Krismat's name right now, Jesse. How dare you?
I wonder, is Nabil Krismat your third starter? Would you use him over Brandon Pfaadt? I don't know. I don't think the D-backs would do that, but I have no idea. It's not like, I guess Brandon Pfaadt, if you got him at home with the way that he's pitched at home this year, maybe you'd feel better about that.
He's not pitching on the road at all in the playoffs at one time. I'm not at all. I'm not even joking about that. I'm not letting Brandon, I don't care what I have to do. And Torey did bring up that with the extra off days and such between now and the end of the season, we might see the starting rotation structure differently. They might skip a guy, or they might, go to a 4-man even now, depending on if they feel like that matches up well with them. Torey did say he has road mapped out the starting pitchers for the rest of the season, so he knows who he's going to. But he told us that as far as we were concerned, all he was going to tell us was Ryan Nelson will be starting on Friday. Outside of that, everything up is still TBD.
I wondered that
to be disclosed, not to be determined. That's a different TBD.
Good. I'm glad we cleared that up.
Yeah, I need to clarify that.
I wondered if the Dbacks would try something like that. I haven't tried in detail to map it all out myself. They wouldn't be able to. I mean, I think the player that I would see them skipping most likely would probably be Chris Matt.
Right.
I mean, maybe that would give you an opportunity to use him out of the bullpen. It wouldn't be like, oh, we don't want Chris Matt pitching at all. It would just be him pitching out of the bullpen instead, which I think could be useful for them.
Very valuable. Could be very valuable.
Yeah, but they can't do that this time around because with the way that things line up, they can't skip Chris Matt. So yeah, I'll be curious to see what that looks like here in the coming weeks if the Dbacks really stay in this thing, which it looks like they're going to as of right now.
Hey, let's just hope. Let's hold our breath and watch some baseball for a little while. But tonight, again, it seemed like, the big problem is Erod has been using his four seam as his primary pitch, and it wasn't working early. He didn't have good velocity on it. Didn't seem like he had the best command, but he did get control of it. I think we have his pitch chart here. He didn't throw it, he didn't stop throwing it, but I felt like at least in the moment he kind of switched over. He went to some of his secondary pitches, went changeup, cutter, curveball a little bit. He got 4 whiffs on his changeup, 2 on his got 4 whiffs on his changeup, 2 on his cutter, 2 on his four seam. He did give up a solo home run outside of that first home run or that first inning to Wilmer Flores. But again, as you can see here, there's a lot of fastballs right there kind of buried under some of those other pitches that were right in the middle of the zone. And a lot of that was what got him in trouble early on. So, this is something that's very, I don't know. I mean, it's good that he was able to get things back on track, but what you were alluding there with Nabil Crismont, Jesse, is that they could have a long reliever like Crismont be ready should a starter have a first inning like Erod did, and maybe have him go right away. But in this case, much like other instances with this team, much like instances with Merrill Kelly at times and Brandon Pfaadt, they only have the one bad inning. It's bad enough to get themselves in a significant hole that's hard for the team to dig their way out of. But it's like sometimes the damage is already done and there's not much you can do turning to another pitcher really to limit it at that point with some of these guys, because they do a great job of getting things back on track. It's just, today that first inning could have been disastrous for this team.
It was, yeah. I mean, it wasn't just Erod throwing some middle fastballs. It was him throwing them in 3-1 counts, and that's going to be in particular a recipe for disaster. But yeah, I mean, he was able to harness his command at least enough. Like we've been saying, the Giants' last hit in this game came with 2 outs in the 3rd inning. They did not have a base hit the rest of the way, which is pretty wild. They had 8 hits in 2 2/3, and then none the rest of the way. But yeah, I mean, Eduardo's he's in an interesting place right now, Derek. He is a pretty heavy fly ball pitcher. He is, I guess you can kind of talk yourself into him being a soft contact sort of guy, but it's not soft contact on ground balls. He really doesn't generate that many ground balls at all. He's trying to throw his 4-seam fastball up in the zone often. And when he misses a spot and he doesn't get it up enough, then that's when it's leaking over the middle of the plate. And unfortunately, at 92 miles an hour, that's a really hittable pitch and can be a pretty big problem for him.
Well, we have more from Torey here. Oh, by the way, I didn't get into Eduardo's numbers because again, this is more about the bullpen and what the offense was able to do. But he did give them 5 strong innings, or 5 innings, not strong innings, 5 eventual innings.
5 innings.
5 innings, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. At least better than, like I said, the last time that he kind of fizzled out. He did get 2 strikeouts. Those 2 strikeouts will get you a Polar Pop, but all you got to do, of course, is text strike to 31310 to start saving on fuel, food, and drinks after every Dbacks home game. And don't forget, with every K, you win at Circle K. And this is coming from Circle K. because that is now my nickname that Torey Lovullo has lovingly given me. And I call him Trajan Wealth. So that's a fun exchange between the two of us. But speaking of Trajan Wealth, let's hear from T-Dub what he had to say after this big win. Here's what Torey had to say about the team victory.
Our margins for error are tiny. We've got to go out there and play good baseball games and continue to fight for everything that we can on the baseball field between the wide lines. We got to prep. And when I watch us come back from a 4-0 deficit and continue to grind and have gritty at-bats and gritty moments after making some early mistakes. Look, we missed the cutoff man. We're not going to miss those things. We're going to tighten that down. Missed the cutoff man, led to some runs. Pitch sequencing early in the game. Our situational hitting, I felt like could have been better. But despite all those things, these guys just continue to grind and continue to go out there and believe that they're going to win a baseball game. Their two best pitchers came in late in the game. We built some innings, and we finally broke through there in the bottom of the 9th inning. So a lot of good things happened here today. But the bottom line is we won a game, and we could play better, and we will. But we're going to enjoy it. Like I said last night, there's a really nice celebration in there. And I really enjoy watching them have that moment. Great fan support today, continues to grow and build and get better. We can feel their vibe, feel their energy. It's getting real. That's what I can say. It's getting real. But we got to keep grinding. We got to keep doing the things that we do. Riding the ship for Eddie, I thought, was a real key for this win. Some early runs. I think he was pumping a lot of heaters, and then started pitching, started to use his changeup a little bit, started to use his cutter, curveball. And, I had a 50-50 ball there, and I just thought he did his job after 5, and we had a gassed up bullpen, and they've been throwing the ball well enough, and they went out there and executed, and it was no runs over the last 4 innings. And that, to me, is the name of the game. It's 17, 18 base runners, just building innings and doing a lot of things right, and that's why we won this game today.
They did win this game as a team. And I think that's the biggest thing about when you look at this. Like, components of the team didn't work out. You had mistakes being made. You had Corbin, again, like I said earlier, missing the cutoff man on a throw into home plate that essentially allowed another runner to advance and score a run because he wasn't able to cut that man off and keep him at first place. You had a weird base running situation where, even though it looked like they fully recorded the out at first base, Blaze Alexander was called out by running into second baseman there for the Giants, and they called some sort of obstruction on Blaze, which is just weird because I feel like the Diamondbacks are always on the wrong end of those obstruction calls and getting in each other's ways.
You should have heard Candiotti. Oh my God.
Was he sick to his stomach about
I'm sorry. Gargiola. Sorry.
Oh, Gargiola?
I meant Gargiola. He was sick to his stomach. He was like, and somehow the Diamondbacks find their way on the losing end of every one of these situations.
It's true. It's true. But with those mistakes being made and Erod having the terrible first inning that he had, the team came together and the team won this. And when you look across the board, whether it's the bullpen doing it and all of these guys, I mean, when you look at just the bullpen's line tonight, Jesse, it's John Curtis 1 2/3 innings pitched, nothing else. No hits, no walks, no strikeouts, no nothing. Same thing with Garcia, a third of an inning pitched, nothing. Ryan Thompson, an inning pitched, nothing. Zeros across the rest of his line. And then Andrew Saalfrank, 1 inning pitched, 1 little tiny strikeout. So in these, in this 3-4 innings pitched by this bullpen, 1 strikeout, no hits, nothing else across the board. It was just beautiful because it was so uneventful. It was so unexciting. It was just the Giants going out there and going 3 up, 3 down and going back to their dugout. And considering the game was tied and the Diamondbacks were struggling to convert those opportunities that were just right there at third base with no outs, it was nice to see this bullpen kind of, not even letting the Giants muster up any kind of winning go-ahead run or any kind of winning, drive there. Drive. I'm watching football too much. Winning inning, I guess I should say.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to watch a Diamondbacks game where it is a little nerve-wracking, maybe, but it's not because the bullpen is just constantly allowing base runners.
Right.
It was nerve-wracking because it just felt like the Diamondbacks might never get that big hit. They just had so many opportunities And granted, I think they finished the game 4 for 16 with runners in scoring position,
They did.
which is a 250 batting average. I mean, that's basically league average, but
Right.
they did leave a lot of guys on base.
5 for
there
17.
were a lot of opportunities.
Yeah. 5 for
Okay,
17 for the D-backs, but
5 for 17. You're right.
Still, like you said, tons of missed opportunities there with runners on the base path tonight, right? So, but yeah, overall, again, this was a big team win. Then that's really what it comes down to. It's a big win because, like you said earlier, Jesse, it does give the Diamondbacks that tiebreaker over the Giants, and that is something that is very important. That's something that has haunted this team in the past few seasons, and it's something that is very needed considering that the Giants are, still are a very hot team in the month of September and are still going to be fighting very hard the rest of the month to catch the Diamondbacks and the Mets for a playoff spot themselves. So that tiebreaker is huge. This is what Torey Lovullo had to say about that tiebreaker.
I'm aware of that. It's always important. I've learned that over the past couple of years because, we barely snuck in there in 23. We lost in a tiebreaker last year. That was heartbreaking with 89 wins. You don't ever expect that to happen. So when you can kind of cash in those mini chips and say, okay, we're going to check one more box in case there is a tie, we're going to be in a good spot. It was a really good win. So we got to keep winning games. We're going to be playing inside of our division. We know that there's a tie-breaking procedure. Say if it happens with the Mets, you got to have a good division record. So we're aware of those things. But I don't want us to focus on it. Just go out and play our game. We're going to be just fine. But it was a massive win for a lot of reasons, and that was one of them.
Jesse, the Giants used 10 relievers so far in these first 2 games. That's a lot. And again, they don't have Logan Webb or Robbie Ray going on the mount for them in the finale here. So the Diamondbacks have really helped their own cause by kind of putting it to the bullpen of the Giants like they have. And this is, again, the second best bullpen in all of baseball, just behind the Padres. So an impressive thing of what they've done. They had the series win and the season series win already in their pockets. And now they go for the S word tomorrow. And quite frankly, they are set up in a very good position to win that game, which means they probably won't. I'll knock on wood. I've already done everything I could to curse them, but just feels like they're in a great position.
This was a really must-win game for the Giants. I mean, it was obviously very important for the Diamondbacks as well. But from the Giants' perspective, I mean, you've now lost the season series with the Diamondbacks. So it means not only do you have to, get past the Reds, who they're currently tied with, but you have to get past the Diamondbacks. You have to beat the Diamondbacks by a full game now. And of course, you have to beat the Mets, and they're now 3 games behind the Mets. I'm not sure who has the tiebreaker there. So the Giants' postseason odds took a huge hit as a result of this loss. And so, yeah, I think Bob Melvin was kind of just going full throttle. He figured that a bullpen game was going to give them a better chance than running Carson Seymour out there again after what the Dbacks did to him last week. So this was really the best. This was really the best route that they could go, and obviously it didn't work.
David wants to know if you actually just said that a game was a must-win game.
Yeah, I mean, mathematically, no, but we're getting to the time of year, believe it or not, where I'm more comfortable using that phrase, even if it isn't mathematically confirmed. Like the Giants really, really needed to win this game. I mean, I guess if they come back and win tomorrow, then they'd gain a game back on the Dbacks. They'd only be a half game behind them. But still then, I mean, you have to beat the Diamondbacks by a full game now because you've lost that tiebreaker.
Right.
And then, of course, both these teams are trying to catch the Mets. So it's just a serious uphill battle for the Giants after losing this game.
Jesse, safe to say tomorrow's Giants game is must win for them?
Actually, no. Tomorrow's game's different. They could lose tomorrow's game. They'd still be
This
all right.
one was must win. Tomorrow's game, whatever. Screw it. No, you know what though? This is the reason why we wouldn't say that games are must win in April or May or June, no matter how much people wanted us to, because we were like, there aren't any must win games in the middle of the season. The reason why there isn't is because it's a 162 game season and none of it matters until we're down to this point. It's not like those wins and losses don't matter. They very much matter, as we saw in 2024. But those wins and losses, they're not must wins. They're not must, they're not, because you have plenty of time still to make up ground and turn things around. Now you don't. Now the Diamondbacks don't. Like, they don't have any more games against the Mets, so they can't. They're not in control of their own destiny. All they can do is put their head down, go out there, win as many games as they possibly can before the season is over, and hope that the Mets lose as many. And that's all that they can hope for, right? But with this situation with the Giants, and considering what happened in the last series that they played them, this was pretty pivotal for the Diamondbacks. It was hard to imagine a road to the postseason if they would have had a bad series here against the Giants, because they would have been in the same situation the Giants are now in, being back behind two teams looking up and being more than a game out just from catching up the final team that's outside looking in, let alone the team that has that spot. So just overall, this was a huge win for the Diamondbacks, and this is fun, man. This is so much fun to watch these guys play in these games and to have these moments. Jordan Lawlar, after the game, Jesse, talked about what contributing to this team means for him. And you could tell having that Dbacks jersey on and winning a game for this team means a lot. This is what he had to say.
Yeah, it's everything. You want to put on this jersey and you want to represent your team. You want to represent the Diamondbacks and all the trust and belief they put into me and I put back into them. It's a symbiotic relationship, and we're going to keep working, and that just goes for everybody in this clubhouse too. We all come to the field ready to work, and we have one goal in mind, that's to win.
And they're having fun together because they really have been around each other for a long time, and you can just tell that this is special for them. And it was special for Torey. Here's what Torey had to say there about Jordan Lawlar's big walk-off in this game.
That was great. Any young player that they can have that moment to help your team win a baseball game, it's a series of graduations. He checked the box last night with a massive hit for us, and today won us a baseball game. So he's going to go to bed feeling really good about himself, and that's what you got to do. You got to help these players build momentum internally, and when they're up in the right spot in the right situation and they come through, it just helps their growth and development. The boys are really pulling for him, and to watch what they did outside and inside, it was a good moment.
It's a huge moment for this team and a huge moment for Jordan Lawlar. And you can just tell, Jesse, like Torey said there, like, these guys are pulling for each other. And not just because they want their team to win, not just because that's their teammate, but because these guys are very close as a family.
Am I allowed to talk about the schedule the Dbacks have coming up? Kind of break down the next couple weeks. Are we allowed to go there? Let's
do this. Let's take a quick break. Let me get in some ads, and then we will do that on the other side of this break, because You're right. The schedule is nuts. We're going to do that 30 seconds or 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 30 seconds is what we do to get in here. 2 minutes. We'll be back. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, much love to our friends at Pure Edibles. On a night like this, it's fun to celebrate with them, and it is definitely fun to celebrate not only with their wonderful candies, but their brand new all-in-one vape that is a collaboration with one of my favorite breweries in this entire state, Mother Road Brewery, which makes the legendary Tower Station IPA, has now collaborated with our friends at Pure Edibles, making the Noble Road new Tower Station IPA all-in-one, which offers the crisp citrus and piney hops of Arizona's favorite IPA, but with a smooth THC twist. No pouring, no waiting, just a good tasting high whenever you want. Not to mention, it goes perfectly with the wide variety of candies that the folks over at Pure Edibles has to offer. Remember, those candies, the effects are clearly listed on each tin. The flavors are listed on each tin, so you have no surprises at all exactly what you're going to get. Whether you're looking to chill out, have yourself a good night's sleep, or just improve your mood, you can look to Pure Edibles and their products to help you out. Go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from one of over 130 dispensaries across Arizona. And of course, whatever the moment, it is never ordinary at Bet365. It is never ordinary at a Arizona Diamondbacks game either, and Bet365 makes watching these games, especially these last regular season games, more fun. They also make watching NFL and college football games more fun, and you will get an early payout offer over at Bet365 on all of this. On college football and NFL, if your team goes up by 17 points, you are a winner with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections, which will be marked as winners. And out on MLB baseball, you are a winner if your team goes up by 5 runs with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections. So do not miss out right now. If you're a new customer, you can get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5 win or lose All you got to do is sign up, use that code of PHNX365 when you do. Deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 or more to get $200 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, players, props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or over and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Well, of course, our guy Shane is in the chat. Always great to see Shane. Shane, it's weird that Shane and Randall Grichuk are both being discussed in the chat because, as many of you know, Shane and his weird baby scared Randall Grichuk out of the state of Arizona. So we can thank him for that. Shane also says that if we get 5 supporters before the end of the stream, I will make sure we get a Jesse Jr. emoji. This guy. Not that one, this one. But Jesse, yeah, Shane brought a weird plastic baby to our pool party and then yelled at Randall Grichuk to look at the baby the whole time. And that, I'm blaming that on the reason why Randall Grichuk is not part of this team any longer. And it has nothing to do with the trade deadline.
Yeah, he demanded a trade for sure.
He demanded a trade because he didn't want to be in Arizona anymore with the weird guy in the pool area with the plastic baby. But the Diamondbacks did the thing tonight.
1 second. I did want to just say shout out to Emily, who is always in the chat here, and just said her dog passed away 5 days ago, and so it's been a little bit tough to take. I think that's what's so great about communities like this. We just try to bring people together, talk about sports. Hopefully we can try to keep your mind off things for a while, Emily, but it's obviously a very tough thing.
First, I will say, as a dog father myself, it is one of the most painful things we can go through. So I'm with you. My heart goes out to you, and I understand how difficult it can be. I will also say I will try to help you out and improve your mood, hopefully. I'll update that jersey list that you've been asking me to do for 6 months. I will try my best to get to that and update it just for you, Emily. But
that's a Christmas promise.
I mean, that's a Christmas promise. But I mean, again, I like you said so well, Damon. I mean, that hurts. Those little 4-legged children are our dog children, and it's never easy to lose somebody like that, or one of our babies. So my heart goes out to you, Emily, and again. Appreciate you guys, of course, for always sharing, always being here, always wanting to hopefully be part of the family that we're growing here. And that's why we have the Supporters Club. If we can get some of you to join the Supporters Club tonight, our guy Shane will add Jesse Jr. And of course, if you haven't checked out the Die Hard membership, we implore you to do so. As you saw last night, you guys can literally tell us when to do content. And me and Damon will say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and snap to it and get you guys a show. You guys wanted it. You guys got it. So we appreciate you as always. Jesse was alluding to the schedule the Diamondbacks have coming up here, which is not easy and hasn't been easy, quite frankly. I mean, the Giants and the Twins, they were the easier teams on the schedule, the sub-500 teams. But even the Giants quickly became not only not a sub-500 team, but they were one of the hottest teams in Major League Baseball when the Diamondbacks ran into them in their first meeting just a week ago, right? So this has been a difficult schedule. This has been a difficult stretch. It doesn't get any easier. It gets harder, in fact. But the Diamondbacks have responded very well to this difficult stretch up to this point.
The Diamondbacks on paper have the hardest schedule in baseball the rest of the way, which doesn't exactly bode well for them. But I will say at the same time, I don't know if it's quite as bad as it looks on paper, because you're getting the Phillies this weekend. I don't think the Dbacks are going to get Christopher Sanchez. In fact, I know they're not, because he just pitched. He just pitched today, and so he's not going to be pitching over the weekend, certainly. And then I don't think they're going to get Ranger Suarez either. I believe it's Walker Buehler, Taijuan Walker, and then I'm forgetting the last name is eluding me. But you're missing the two. Aaron Nola is the last one now I'm remembering, who has not had a good season at all, despite the fact that he's a big name. So you're getting, I think it's going to be those 3 starting pitchers. The Phillies don't have much to play for at this point. Trey Turner is out with injury, so their lineup is missing a really key piece. And then you look ahead to next week, and yes, it is the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's not great, but depending on what happens here in the next few days, maybe the Dodgers are able to wrap up the NL West by then, and maybe they won't have much to play for. And even if they do still have something to play for, I'm not sure you're going to see them go full throttle with any of their starting pitchers at that point. They'll want to use them still, but they're probably going to take it easy with some of their top players as the season comes to an end. And then finally, you finish in San Diego against the San Diego Padres. In theory, the Padres won't have anything to play for at that point. It's possible they do if they're still in the mix with the Dodgers for the NL West. It is possible that they will have something to play for, but certainly I think you feel pretty confident you're not going to see the Padres going all in with their best starting pitchers. So you're probably getting a break there. Granted, we all saw how the Diamondback season ended last year. You do not want to underestimate a Padres team that is not going all out, because that did not end very well for this team in 2024.
No kidding. And I mean, I think that's why I temper my expectations. I was trying to say, I believe on yesterday's episode, that this does set up well, the exact way you described it. And what sets up well for them is the fact that the Phillies have clinched the NL East already, that the Dodgers will most likely have clinched the NL West by the time we play them, and could just be playing for the top spot in the National League, maybe not much else. It doesn't mean that any of these teams are just going to roll over and put out their B lineups out there and their B starting pitchers. Nobody wants to get cold going into the playoffs. They all want to keep themselves hot and on a roll. But what I at least figure is that they're going to stagger their lineups, and you're just not going to see the best lineup that they could put out there every single night. The same way the Diamondbacks will have no choice but to put their best lineup out there every single night to try to win every single one of these baseball games. So there is that advantage there. There's just this weird sinking feeling, Jesse, that overall the Diamondbacks have just performed so well against the top teams in baseball that I'd almost just rather they put out their team. You just feel like some sort of sneaky, lineup with some minor league players the Diamondbacks don't know much about is going to somehow be harder to deal with than, Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Ohtani, right? But overall, I want any advantage the Diamondbacks can get. And so I do hope some of these teams take it easy. We can take a look at the wild card standings here. And Jesse, tell the girls we are back in town. Let's go. Diamondbacks 1.5 games back from the Mets. 77 and 75, 1.5 back. Mets 78 and 73. And everybody's been talking about the Mets schedule going forward, but theirs isn't necessarily easy. I mean, they did kind of bulldoze the Padres tonight. I have a feeling the Padres aren't going to take that too kindly, and they might come out really swinging in the next 2 games to make this a fight with the Mets. You would love to see that, right? Or maybe the Padres are just trying their best to roll over and screw over the Diamondbacks again and ensure that both the Diamondbacks and the Giants don't make it in, because the Padres don't want that smoke in the playoffs, Damon. But overall, this is just good. It's good to see that the Mets do have games left against the Cubs, who really, they themselves probably don't have a lot to play for since they can't catch up to, the Brewers, but they're still going to be playing hard baseball, and they're going to still be trying to win games. So overall, this is just going to be a lot of fun to watch, and you can just keep your fingers crossed that the Mets do what they do and Met.
Yeah, well, people were counting on that last year, Derek. It didn't quite work out.
Yeah, we were counting on that, very much so. We were counting on that. But Jesse, we appreciate you so much. We thank you for stopping by to give some insight on this game. As always, you can follow Jesse on Twitter at Jesse N. Friedman. You can also check out everything he and Jack Summers are doing over there at Snakes Territory. They do some tremendous work. You can find it wherever you find this podcast. So, Jesse, get better. I know you're suffering a little bit. You're a little bit under the weather. Make sure those kids don't cough or sneeze on you. Keep them at least 20 feet away from you at all times. And I look forward to chatting with you next week about whatever the hell this team is going to do between now and then.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah, keeping all my students 20 feet away. That sounds like an interesting challenge. But yeah, we'll see what we can do, Derek. I'll give it my best shot.
Keep them just a little bit farther away than the Jordan Lawlar ball went tonight. Just a little bit farther away than that ball went.
Maybe that I can do.
The first school teacher who is actively avoiding children.
Yeah.
At all costs.
Attaboy. Proud of you. All right, buddy. We'll see you next time. Thank you again for stopping by.
All right. See you guys.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And then on the other side of this, actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to send it to overtime, Damon. I think, is it time to go to overtime? We passed overtime. Is Jacob going to yell at me? He's going to yell at me. I shouldn't even bring it up. I don't even know why I do that. I'm such an idiot. This conversation is continuing wherever you are. So make sure to come on over to the gophnx.com website. Come on over to YouTube. Keep the party going here. Damon, we do have the count to take a quick look at before we do get on to our next commercial break here. And the Diamondbacks outscored the Giants in this one by a score of 6-5. You love to see that. They out-hit the Giants 13-8. Runners in scoring position, as Jesse discussed earlier. Lots of opportunities. They had a .294 batting average, so not terrible, but still going 5 for 17. You would have loved to see them convert on some of those opportunities a bit more. The Giants did not have many to convert, but they did do what they could. They were 3 for 5, and those came all in, I believe, the first inning. So that was how they got that early lead. Diamondbacks had 4 extra base hits, including the big home run by Adrian Del Castillo. The Giants had 3. And then wacky baseball being wacky again. Expected batting average, 364 for the Giants, 363 for the Diamondbacks.
I think this is the craziest by the numbers of the entire season,
it's
Derek.
Nuts.
If you from the score line and it being a walk-off ending to the kind of even amount of extra base hits to then you look at the runners in scoring position and you just kind of look at it's like Nick Young gif of the question marks all popping up. You're like, what?
How?
5 for 17. I mean, 294 is not even that bad.
Right.
But when you have 17 opportunities, you'd like to cash in a few more times than 5.
Well, again, you think about how many times they had a runner at third base and did not advance that runner. And right there, there's 3, 0 for 3 with him there in one inning and 0 for 3 in the next inning, right? So there's 0 for 6 right there in just the 7th and the 8th inning, right? So that was the big squandered opportunities that they had, especially getting those runners on early and having those opportunities. It sucks, but you got to feel encouraged about the fact they were able to overcome these mistakes and overcome a terrible first inning from Erod and still get the win in this game. I mean, it's really impressive what they were able to do tonight. And it's really impressive what they've been able to do to get to this point of the season where they are 1.5 games back and they are currently at a record of 77-75. None of it makes sense. And that's why we love the game of baseball, because none of it makes sense. But I will say, like I said, we will take a quick break here. And on the other side of this break, we're going to talk a little bit more about this game. And we're also going to discuss Geraldo Perdomo's case for being an MVP candidate. It seems unanimous. We all agree he is one. So we're going to make that case on the other side of this break. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, for more than 15 years, Access Insurance Agency of Arizona has provided affordable and reliable car insurance to drivers in the Phoenix metro area. And as a dedicated part of the local community, Access Auto helps Arizona drivers get insured by offering flexible coverage options and accepting various forms of IDs, driving histories, and license types. Some insurance companies can make it very difficult to insure yourself, insure your vehicle. Access Auto will not do that. By partnering together with over 20 insurance carriers, they make it easy for you to compare rates and find the best policy for your budget. With bilingual Spanish-speaking agents at 9 convenient locations across the valley, Access agents are ready to assist customers in finding the right coverage for their budgets and identifying available discounts. Both cash and card payments are accepted for added convenience. And when you're out there shopping on your own, sometimes you have no idea what is a good rate and what kind of discounts are available to you. Let Access Auto, which is trusted by the community, rooted in Phoenix, help you. They are ready to help. All statements are subject to terms, exclusions, and conditions of the applicable policy. In all instances, the current policy contract language prevails. Coverage is subject to individual policyholders meeting underwriting qualifications, state availability, other terms, conditions, and exclusions may apply. And everyone needs a checking account, right? You need a checking account to get insurance. You need a checking account just to live your life. And Mountain America Credit Union has the account with built-in benefits for you. Mountain America's My Style checking account has perks for you, just like restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, and so much more. They have identity protection. They have discounts on loan rates. They have discounts on hotels and events. So let My Style checking from Mountain America Credit Union not only give you a checking account, but give you benefits that other checking accounts just won't get you. Mountain America Credit Union was opened in the 1930s and has 100 plus branches across Arizona, Utah, Idaho, Montana, and Nevada, and over 1.2 million members. And right now you can make My Style your lifestyle at a Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/mystyle to apply. Insured by NCUAA. Membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions do apply. Well, Damon, before we get on to the rest of our case here for Geraldo Perdomo being an MVP, we have to hear from one guy and one guy only, and that is our guy, Blaze Alexander, who may be stopping by on this show later this week. Maybe he might be making an attempt to regain ownership of Jesse Jr., or he might just be stopping by because he's so amped up on the huge bag of Sour Patch Kids I gave him that he has to do something with his time before a baseball game on Friday. But Blaze was very excited about the Jordan Lawlar walk-off tonight. In fact, he talked here about the walk-off and celebrating with his teammate. Here's what Blaze had to say.
Yeah, freaking awesome experience. Bases loaded. You get Jordan up to the plate, and I knew he was going to do it. Whether it was going to be a deep fly ball or something, I played with him too many times down in Reno, and he gets the job done in those situations. And it was super cool. He gets the base hit, and I was the first guy to run, freaking jump at him, and I'm ecstatic for him, happy, we get the team win, and we're going for a sweep tomorrow.
First, yes, those are Sour Patch Kids that he's eating while he's talking in that video. I can confirm that. Second, we all need a guy like Blaze Alexander in our life. We all need a friend, a teammate, a coworker, a family member, a brother, somebody in our life that is going to sit there and say, I knew he was going to do it. I knew he was going to do it. And yes, say freaking 17 times over the course of one very short clip. But just the confidence that makes you believe in yourself, the confidence that exudes out of your skin, out of your pores. It just, you sweat confidence based on it. And I mean, again, it's just, you hear enough, you hear how much his teammates love him. You hear the kind of vibes that he brings here. But I think that aside from all of that, what Blaze brings is a sincerity and a true love for his teammates, for the game, for this opportunity to play at a major league level. And honestly, he's loving having success. He's thriving in this moment. I've never seen somebody, make a catch at Chase Field the way that Blaze did, robbing a home run, and then turn around to the crowd and try to get the crowd hyped, and then be so amped himself that he needs to just put his jersey or his glove up to his face and scream into it because he's just so pumped about what he did, right? The clip we have of him talking about spending his days on YouTube watching clips of guys making throws from the warning track just once again reiterates how much of a fan of the game that he is. But he's just also a huge fan of his teammates, and he's a huge fan of the fact that they're all getting a chance to do this together. This is what Blaze had to say about playing with and growing up with Jordan Lawlar.
Yeah, it's played together in Reno, played together in Hillsborough, all the way up, AZL too, and we know each other, know each other, super comfortable together, we know what everyone's ability is, and it's super fun to kind of grow together and kind of be in this situation, fighting for a playoff push. A couple years ago we're just kind of dreaming about being here, and we're here, we're in the heat of it.
Blaze and Jordan, Damon, took on the same demeanor when talking about how much the young teammates.
Yeah,
you see that?
They're both such happy-go-lucky, smiley dudes,
yeah,
and then the second that you're talking about, the team goals, they get completely dead serious and start being like, you know what, we show up every day. Everyone loves each other. We work hard, and we just want to win baseball games. It immediately takes a different tone,
right? And you can tell there's emotion there. You know what I mean? He is legitimately happy for his teammate, for his brother, for this guy that he's played with, because no one wants to see none of us, even us as fans. We as fans tend to be a bit more callous about it, and I understand because as a fan, sometimes it's hard to remember that athletes are a person or a human being out there, and that human being is struggling with emotions, with thoughts, with anxiety, with expectations, with all of this stuff that's kind of heaped upon them. And we don't help, because the minute that they go 0 for 3 in 2 consecutive games, we're like, this guy is a bum, get him off my team, right? And in some cases they are bums, but Jordan Lawlar was just one of those guys that you felt like you needed to believe in and you needed to stick with, because he was going to become something special, and he is becoming that right before our very eyes. But honestly, the same thing happened with Alexander. Blaze has become a star right before our eyes, and I think everybody kind of loved Blaze. He's hard not to love, but when the success gets added with all of that, that's when you start to see someone like Blaze transforming, maturing, and maybe even becoming a Geraldo Perdomo type. You know, somebody that is a leader and is just one of those guys that picks his teammates up and provides a spark that not every baseball player can provide. He was pumped talking about the team getting the record for bunts, and he actually made a comment about wanting one of his changed to a hit. This is what he had to say.
You guys bunted 4 times in this game.
I think it was a record.
Was it?
Yeah, team record. They just told me, but I'm trying to get that switch to a hit. So I don't know, it drove me crazy, but we're at home. Come on.
Come on, give us the home cooking discount. Right?
He's 100% right.
He is 100%
Michael
right.
Jordan has like a fraudulent defensive player of the year award solely because the home scorekeeper was just giving him blocks, giving him steals. Can Blaze just get a hit for the single, for the love of God?
Yeah. Can we
please
just give it to him, please? But the one thing about all of this, including those two guys, is the confidence, once again, that they're gaining, the confidence this team is gaining. Tonight, you didn't see this negative body language that we saw from this team early on in this season when things wouldn't go their way. You didn't see them just going out there and having bad at-bats and taking hacks. And that even goes for Ketel, who's had some pretty bad at-bats lately. Tonight he was battling, he was putting in a good effort, and you saw that from everybody in the lineup. That's the reason why the score sheet looks the way it is. The box score is filled up with hits. Nobody really dominated. You know, Corbin and Ketel, again, they had multi-hit efforts tonight, and that's great to see, but you just really felt like this was a team win, and the biggest part of it was this team did not lose confidence in their ability to win this game just because of that disastrous first inning for Eduardo Rodriguez. Torey Lovullo, after the game, discussed that confidence building and what is happening there in the dugout with this team here as we close out the 2025 season.
Things are starting to happen, right? The decisions that are made, the way the kids are playing, it's been very successful. And I think when you start to see the hard work pay off and get those good moments to come out the other end, and you win a baseball game, or win a moment, it's not necessarily a baseball game, it does breed confidence. So the success of a team always breeds confidence. Winning makes all the bad go away. Makes all the bad go away for you guys. It makes all the bad go away for me. But we're doing a lot right. And when you do it right and you're not getting lucky, you start to feel good about it. I think the confidence level is very high.
There's also a funny clip where Torey was asked about like the amount of flack and criticism the bullpen has been given, and he was like, yeah, the manager also has been given a lot of criticism based on that usage. So
I purposefully didn't put that one in here, Derek.
Yeah, you just didn't want to do it for Killer Rex.
That was like a shh.
Yeah, no,
Torey, don't say anything.
I'm saying it because Torey's understanding of what's going on always amuses me. Like, Torey is never actually in the dark as much as you would think about like the perception about him as a manager or what people are saying online. I have a feeling his wife probably tells him what people are saying, even though he very much does not want to hear it. And overall, I think he does his best to kind of block out that noise as much as he possibly can and try to manage this baseball team. A lot of the roster issues this year are not to blame for Torey. There are a lot of mistakes that he's made as a manager, and I'm sure he would be the first one to tell you. In fact, he just mentioned in passing the game, I think against the Giants, where he pinch hit Connor Kaiser instead of Gabby Moreno late, and he just out of nowhere, no one even asked him about it. He was like, I made mistakes. I still regret not hitting Gabby in San Francisco, you know, and it was like, oh, so yeah, you heard the things we were saying about you for sure. But overall, Torey, again, he's been doing a great job with the pieces he's given, at least lately. And this team, even though he's not pushing all the right buttons, has found a way to get on a roll. A big part of that role is MVP worthy candidate, I should say, Geraldo Perdomo. And you guys know that in this particular
he's so much more than just that, though, Derek.
He's everything, Damon.
He's a brother. He's a
literally
son.
everything. He's my captain. Oh, captain.
He's my captain. He's, dare I say, a religious leader.
When I mispronounced
the Church of Geraldo Perdomo.
When I mispronounced the word milk, like milk, he was the first one defending me.
100%.
He was out there. He was out there in the scrums talking about, hey, Derek's first language is Spanish. You guys are this is all hate speech trying to attack him for, his mispronouncing words. But no, Geraldo Perdomo, one of the best baseball players in baseball, in Major League, in the Diamondbacks organization. And again, there was an MLB article that dropped today from Thomas Harrigan, who basically said, basically claimed him as being like the MVP candidate that nobody knows. And I was furious about that because we all know Perdomo here, but his point is made, right? Geraldo Perdomo has flown under the radar all season long, despite his numbers, despite what he's been doing, despite just in general how wonderful it is to watch him play the game of baseball. Perdomo is right up there with Ketel Marte for me as far as watching guys joyfully play the game of baseball at this level. And I unfortunately don't feel like I see the same joy out of Ketel ever since the criticism, ever since those articles were written about him, and ever since he's gone through everything he's gone through this year. But there is no stopping the joy that Perdomo has in life. And his, we've said it time and time again, just what he brought to this team prior to this year was enough for you as to love Geraldo Perdomo and to think of him as like a team MVP. Sure, his numbers weren't the best on the team, but you just still felt like overall what he brought was a big reason why this Diamondbacks team was successful. Again, much like I said about James McCann, a glue guy. But he is no longer just a glue guy. He's no longer just a captain. He's no longer a guy that just brings the vibes. He's not the guy that goes out there to the mound to check on his pitcher whenever they're struggling and provide them with words of encouragement. He is now literally the best player on the team. He has been putting up the best numbers. He is doing something a Diamondback player has never done in history, which is have the season that he's had with the 25 stolen bases, 100 RBI that he is approaching, and the 25 home runs. So again, just an incredible, or is it 30 home runs? I forget where we're even at there.
He's at 19.
He's at 19. So it's 20 home runs, 25 stolen bases, and 100 RBI. As Jack Summers pointed out, that's not something even very many shortstops have done historically in Major League Baseball history. Only 7 have done that. But as far as the Diamondbacks are concerned, no player, I believe, has ever done that. And I think that's something that they were discussing. So, it's hard because, again, in the National League, you're always going to have Shohei Ohtani up there as a top favorite for the MVP, and you're always going to have a couple of guys whose names are household names, everybody knows, and you just know no matter what a guy like Perdomo does, they're always going to be kind of considered above him, right? But if Perdomo can put together, this consistently, he will absolutely be in that MVP conversation and should be this year. His manager at least thinks so. This is what Torey Lovullo had to say about Geraldo Perdomo being an MVP candidate.
Yeah, he's a prime example of what I want an Arizona Diamondback to be every single day. And we're drawing a lot of energy from him. He's an inspiration to everybody, including the coaches. So I admire what he's put his body through this year. And he should be exhausted at the end of the game. That's the time of the year it is. And at the end of the night, you're leaving it all out there no matter what. So you should empty your tank and feel the way he feels. But he's done it on a real impressive performance level. There's been no let up for him. It's been extremely consistent. He's approaching 100 RBIs and just very productive at bats and an anchor on this team. And we're building around him. There's one player that's leading the charge for us is definitely Jerry, without a doubt. He leads the National League in WAR. In some publications. So that's minus Ohtani's pitching WAR, but he's like at 6'3", 6'4", something like that. That absolutely should give him some consideration for sure. And then I know it's weighted differently because I get to watch him work every day, but I know the league is taking notice of him. Some of the other staff members, some of the other managers, a lot of them ask me about Perdomo often. And what you see is what you get, and when you get a little bit deeper, it gets even better.
And Eric, our guy Eric Ruby, great to see Eric here asking about what he's put his body through. Domo's been hit by so many pitches lately, including today when he got nailed in the back. And again, he is just a guy that gets on base in any way, gets the job done. He walks, he works at bats, he does everything the way you would want any baseball player to do it. And he does it with one of the best attitudes of any player that he could have. But I also know Eric was firing shots, and there's some other implications there in what he was saying as well. They're all battling through injuries. It's what are we? Game 151, 152 now of the season, Damon? They're going to have injuries. They're all hurting. I hurt. My back hurts. I have a bad left ankle. I'm hurting. But you know what? You know who's not hurting, especially because of how well Perdomo is doing, is this man behind the Mac, Damon Dog. I have to give Damon a lot of credit because Damon was a Geraldo Perdomo supporter, I think, from the first day I met Damon. From the first day, they were like, this guy's going to be your producer now. This is Damon. And he was like, hi, I'm Damon. I love Geraldo Perdomo. Like, that was the very first thing we've ever said. Like, this man, like, win or lose, good times and bad, Damon has believed in Perdomo. And I think the big reason why is because that intangible, that leadership quality that Perdomo has above everybody. You hear it in his answers. You see it with the way that he, conducts himself on the field. And just in general, you can tell that this guy is a guy that wants to win every single baseball game that he's part of.
I believe my first words to you were, Derek, can I speak to you about the good word of Geraldo Perdomo?
Yes.
But
can I talk to you about my Lord and Savior, Geraldo Perdomo?
On a little bit more serious note, you say that no one is happier than me right now. I kind of thought we were going to be talking about Geraldo Perdomo's Hall of Fame case today, not the MVP candidacy, but
maybe a little early. I guess maybe a little early for the statue talk.
I guess I'll temper my expectations a little bit on that regard. I will say, Derek, I was the first member of Geraldo Perdomo FC.
Yeah,
everyone that was around for that remembers, and I just think that you watched Perdomo play baseball, and he was consistently impacting winning baseball games, and that was my thing always was. He gets on base for the guys that you need to get on base for. He hits situationally when he needs to come through in big moments. He always sees a million pitches. He's always great with 2 strikes and in really tough deep counts. Like, the guy does all the little things right, and you need 9 Geraldo Perdomos on your baseball team if you want to be successful. Frogdomo,
that's why I got
he's the captain. And you know what, Ernesto? I would love a C on my chest. Maybe me and Geraldo Perdomo get matching C captain tattoos on our chest.
All right, now we're talking.
That's
a permanent captain logo.
That would be my first tattoo, and I would be willing to go down with the ship
on the chest.
100%.
Right where Max put his little... Max has a little...
I would get like NFL style, like a badge literally just cut out into a square with a C on it. I mean, it would be electric.
I love it. I'm here for it. And also, it's there's something to be said about just in general how Perdomo treats his teammates and picks them up and defends them and does everything he can. We could go on and on for hours about this guy, but again, it's just wonderful to see things coming together. It's wonderful that this team has found a way to win games like this particular game when they are so important. And it's just a whole lot of fun to watch. So I will say this, and this is probably kind of bringing the joy and the mood down before we get out of here. But I will say this: if the Diamondbacks still find a way, or if they don't find their way into the postseason, if this ends unfortunately where they come up short, I would implore everybody out there to not drastically think of this season as a failure. Just remember this month. Remember what specifically these guys did when the front office essentially traded away the majority of the valuable pieces on this team, and they still found a way to win games and be competitive. So got to applaud them for that. And also, we got to applaud us for now going, a half an hour over our normal end time? That's got to be some sort of new non-postseason record for us. But it's just because we're so pumped to talk about the Snakes being alive again, and that's why this is fun. So thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate your time. We will be back, believe it or not, tomorrow with another show. I'm going to get up very early and be back out at the yard. So make sure to join us for another post-game show. We will be back after tomorrow's finale with the Giants. So make sure to join us for that. Until then, you can make sure to follow all of us. Like I said, Jesse was at Jesse and Friedman. Make sure to follow him and Snakes Territory. Make sure to follow my guy Damon. He is at Damon Dog with a DAWG at the end. We are all Damon's dogs. Bark, bark. I am at Cap_Caveman with a K. Our show is at PHNX_Dbacks. But as always, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank all 180 of you for being here tonight. Make sure you hit that like button before you get out of here. And make sure you tell a friend about us. As you know, we have gone through some things, and we would always appreciate the good word being spread about our baseball program over here at PHNX and what we do here as a whole. We're just trying to make watching sports more fun once again. So we thank you guys for doing that with us. We will see you tomorrow. Until then, we appreciate your time. Like I've always told you, it's your most valuable commodity. So we can't thank you enough for sharing it with us. Until tomorrow, we appreciate you again. Have yourselves a wonderful evening. Behave yourselves, Candace. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is so much more fun when Jordan Lawlar is out there delivering walk-off hits for a win.
Snakes alive.
We all silly like the mayor.